This isn't a fun girly pop hobby. This is a legit business, and I'm paying people's wages who are paying for their life.
Hi everyone, it's Alex York. I'm an editor at Forbes, and I'm here with Pia Mance, the founder of Heaven Mayhem. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
So you are in New York right now. We're shooting in our New Jersey office.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about why you are in New York today.
Well, I was so excited that this worked out and I was able to have this in my trip, but I'm here to do a panel this afternoon at NYU. I'm so excited. I just did the Vogue Business one last week, literally last week, but time has flown. It feels like 3 weeks ago. And I really like panels because it puts me out of my comfort zone. I love meeting people in person, so I love like talking to them on the side, but I get really nervous to go on stage, and I like feeling nervous because I think it's good to like have some new energy in your body. So I love being on panels, and I'm excited for today, but I like feeling that little bit of nerve as well.
Do you have any tips for like when you are in that like nervous energy, how to calm yourself down and like show up as your best self?
I feel like you need to eat, you need to breathe, you need to have a glass of water, you need to do all those things, of course, like look after yourself. But then I think I always just remind myself it's not that deep. Like I think people would think, oh my God, NYU panel, Vogue Business panel, that is the pinnacle. And like, yeah, it is. But it's also like everyone in the audience is someone just like me who's there to like learn and listen. And if I was speaking to them one-on-one, we would just have a little powwow. So if I'm feeling a little nervous, instead of stumbling over my words and trying to be super professional, I'd just be like, oh, sorry guys, I'm kind of nervous. Anyway, back to the question. Do you know what I mean? Just being like casual and remembering like it's not that deep, and people like a little personality. And also like sometimes, not to throw any shade, but when they have back-to-back-to-back panels, they start to get a little repetitive and boring. So I think throwing in a bit of personality and keeping it real and like speaking to the audience actually helps. So I just remind myself of that.
Totally, yeah, bringing that humanity into it. Just be like, we can relate to each other. Like we can just have a conversation, a casual conversation with each other, even though one of us is on a stage and the other is in the audience.
Yeah,
I love that. How have you been doing more and more of this, or like how have you come into this role? Obviously as a founder, but also as kind of like the face of this brand and someone who people want to learn from and hear from. What has that journey looked like for you?
I think I was asked to be on a couple of podcasts, and then from there it just sort of snowballed. And I think often it's like anything, people kind of see one person has them on a podcast, and then it just snowballs, and people are like, oh, she has a good perspective, she speaks well on a mic, like let's get her on. And then it just snowballed, and I kind of put it out into the universe. I wanted to do more panels and more public speaking and events and stuff like that, and it's just snowballed. And so I'm just saying yes to like pretty much any opportunity because I actually really like it.
Totally. Do you feel like that's helped your business? Has it helped your just like personal confidence? Like what has been the payoff for you?
I think personal confidence for sure. Positioning myself with a little bit of a point of difference. And I think it's good for the brand. It's great brand awareness, but also it's good personal brand awareness because in my life, my goal in the next 5 to 10 years is to invest in a bunch of brands and help build them alongside other founders. So I really want to position myself in this world, like put my name out there, get people to know me for that reason. And so that's really helped. And then as well as that, speaking on the brand and having a room full of really smart people, whether it's at Vogue Business or NYU, now they know the brand, but often these people are looking for jobs or they might be freelancers and they're looking to like extend their career. So then they want to connect with me, and I just meet great people who I've ended up hiring or have ended up, working within a freelance capacity. So it's actually really good from like multiple different angles.
I want to back up a little bit before we get into like all you're doing right now. Let's take a step back to, you grew up in Australia.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about what that was like, what your childhood was like, what you were interested in? Who was Pia as like a young girl in Australia?
I was so cute. I feel like people, like, for example, I get a lot of people in the US being like, oh my God, I'm never going to Australia. It's scary. There's too many bugs. I grew up in a city. There's not that many crazy bugs. And I was obsessed. My dad's an artist. I was obsessed with sewing. I did sewing lessons with my mom. I would make something every weekend. I would go to the flea markets. I would do henna tattoos. My wall was covered in posters that I would make. I was doing so many arts and crafts and creative things until probably age like 14, 15. And then I thought it's not cool anymore. And so I kind of stopped doing that. But like that is my roots and bread and butter. I was going to flea markets and sewing clothes since I was like 12. Like, from the age my parents let me get the tram by myself, I was doing that. So I grew up in Australia. I met my boyfriend, who I feel like if you're listening right now, you're like, don't care, but it comes back to the story. So we met when we were really young at age 12 and then kind of got together at age 15. We both finished high school. He moved to China and we did long distance. And then I moved over to China for a couple of months to be with him. And so there I had a real insight into like factories, business. I was around his family dining table for like however long, since I was age like 14, 15. learning so much about business. He has a family business. I was also modeling, so I was learning like, oh, there's the founder, or that's the creative director, or like they'd say things like, oh, we have to shoot the first sample, but the sea shipment's coming in. So you just like pick up all these tiny information that you don't realize you're going to apply later. And then from spending some time in China, we moved straight to London, and there I spent a lot of time helping him with his business and modeling. And then we moved to LA 4 years ago. And somewhere in between there, when we were living in London, we got married, and then we moved to LA for his business. So he wanted to expand his business in the US, and I was like, oh, you know what? I'm happy to do that for you. We can do LA for 5 years, and then as soon as 5 years is up, we're moving to Sydney. I'm putting my foot down. Australia is where it's at. And like 3 months into LA, I was like, no, it's fine. We'll stay here forever. Like, I love it. I just really like coming to New York and LA, and I like the energy here, and I think it's a really great place to grow brands. So that's ultimately what I did. And I started my brand because I needed something more in my life, and I was kind of like, I have a really strong work ethic, but I never really was applying it properly. So I'd be up till 10 on my laptop, and we'd be going to sleep, but I'd be thinking, oh my God, where's the couch delivering for the house, and how can I get this for, like, it wasn't achieving anything in my life, but I do have that work ethic. So I started Heaven Mayhem. We'd bought our house, we'd bought our furniture. We didn't have a lot of extra cash. I always say that, though. I had like roots. I had my husband, I had a house, so it's not as if that was only in my bank account, but I just used $900, went downtown, I found some cord, I found some pendants, I went to flea markets, I went online, I did a collection of 20 vintage pendants, and then that was how Heaven Mayhem was born.
I want to talk about so many aspects of that, because I think it's so important to like look back at kind of these initial moments of spark of like, oh, I see your dad is an artist, and like I want to do something that's artistic and creative, but also watching these businesses be built and realizing that's something that you're interested in as well. What moments throughout that like journey of yours, like you said, do you feel like the switch started flipping to like, I want to also be a builder? Was there a moment that you remember that being the case, or was it just kind of gradual or accidental? How did that happen?
I think it was really gradual, and I think somewhere in between then it flipped from wanting to create things to like business things. Yeah. So I would do things with my dad and be like, oh, I want to make art, or I want to make clothes, and I was doing all of these different things. Then when I was modeling, I would hear, like, for example, my favorite thing was they'd say like, okay, for example, pose with 2 hands on your hip, and I'd do it, and then I'd pose with my arms crossed. This is the stupidest example, but I'd do a really good pose, and then everyone would be like, oh my God, I love that. You take the direction. So I loved having that like little bit of control, and like when I was helping my husband or modeling for these brands, the social media, they'd suggest something and I'd be like, oh, I should do it more like that. Or I'd always have these ideas. And I think gradually I started to like get this inner confidence, like, I want to do that for myself because I have this idea and I think it would make a difference. But like when I'm 13 years old telling my future-to-be father-in-law, like, I think you should do this with your business. He's like, what, girl? But like, I knew. So I think once I started applying it and it started working, I really got even more confidence.
Yeah, you learn to trust yourself, and like then you have something to say, and you want to bring what you see in your mind to life. So you had $900 that you started Heaven Mayhem with. What were those first couple $100 spent on?
So it was spent on my Shopify subscription. I got the basic $30 a month. Canva subscription. Canva is like, we live and breathe in Canva at Heaven Mayhem. I had to pay for the subscription so I could download PNGs with a transparent background so I could use the logo and stuff. I got a digital camera on eBay for $40, and I got the stock. And I got a label printer from Amazon, and I got some mailers from Amazon. Okay. So I was sourcing the pendants, hand making it in a way because I was hand tying it, but I wasn't necessarily like welding it. And I would make the pendants, I would get the orders on Shopify, I would email them, I'd send out the order confirmation, I would pack it in my laundry, I'd drop it at the post office, print the labels, all of that. I'd come back, I'd do customer care, I'd take the photos, I'd taught myself Facebook ads. And so then fast forward now to this brand of 9 employees, I know what everyone's job is, and I feel really confident in like, and really proud of myself. Even in this Q4 period, it's crazy. People say like, hey, this is happening, and I have found I know what to say to all of them. Like, I know how to solve all of these problems with them by my side. I couldn't do it all by myself, but I'm really proud that I have built it from scratch, so I really like know the ins and outs of the business. You
mentioned too that the kind of like this business mind of yours was gradual. Once you actually started Heaven Mayhem, though, like from that point, you decided like I want to create these pendants. I want to create something for people. To where we are today so much has changed. It's grown so much.
Yeah.
What do you think were the pivotal moments within that journey that really turned it from something you were doing for fun on the side, from your home into this business that now, like you said, employs nearly 10 people,
Yeah.
and you know it's a global business. What were some of those like pivotal moments, do you think?
I think once I kind of had a taste that things were working, like I said, my work ethic is amazing, and I just keep going. And once I have an idea, I don't procrastinate. I do it that day, and I'm very like hungry. I think like I wanted to do today's podcast. I'm like, let's do it. I don't just wait around for things to happen. So I think that was like a huge part. But then it was right time, right place, right product. Everything kind of fell into place, and I think it was. I mean, I don't want to say I was lucky, but it was definitely half me and then half my circumstances. I was living in LA. That is somehow an amazing place to build businesses. A lot of people come to me and want to do articles on that because it just is. I was going to influencer events. I met all these influencers who would post Heaven Mayhem, so that was like a huge win. I ended up meeting Hailey Bieber, which was a huge win. She wore the product, and I only met her because I saw her at a coffee shop because I lived in LA. So all these things. We got on Revolve. Revolve has a huge reach. And then I'm trying to think what else was really pivotal. I think a couple of our products, for example, our watch, the Icon watch was really pivotal for us because everyone was wearing leather strap watches, but they have such a high price point. So this was kind of giving the look for less, but still at a great quality product. So all of these moments kind of like boosted the brand. And now when I look back, I can kind of see those. But when you're in it, every day feels the same. And then you look back and you're like, how have I been doing this for 3 years?
Right. Yeah, and you realize then in hindsight, like, oh, it is me and the circumstances I was in, or it is me and how the industry was shaping at the time.
Yeah.
When you first started, what do you think customers and consumers were looking for? How did that shape what you were creating? And how has that changed to today?
I think at the time, going back to right time, right place with the product, we did the pendant necklaces, which were somehow trending, but I mean, I always never want to like toot my own horn, but I was on that trend, but I didn't see it as a trend. I just liked it and I wanted to do it. And then every brand did it after, whether we kind of made it or what, who knows? But I was right time, right place with that. And so I think customers were looking to us like, oh, that's a cool product that I want. I'm going to shop there. And then again, with the vintage inspired earrings, when we brought those out, people were ready for that and they were excited by the product because it was fresh and new. And I think different to anything they had. And now I think customers are used to us bringing out cool and innovative products that are fresh and exciting, and so now they look to us for that. And I think they have, instead of us showing them and they're like, yeah, I like that product, we almost tell them that they like it. They're looking to us to like set the trend or something cool. However, we're not trying to chase trends because otherwise we wouldn't be around. We're just trying to create like a timeless product that is cool and you can wear it now, or you can wear it in a couple of years, or you can pass it down, but it's still like innovative and people like it.
So let's talk about that like trend forecasting a little bit, because I think that that's what you're alluding to there, is like you can kind of see what's coming down the pipe and like what people might be interested in the future. What are you inspired by to kind of start generating that in your own mind? Are there like other brands that you're looking at or other like parts of culture or society? How are you starting to like ideate ahead of, you know, building the products?
So the past 2 years, I've been building the products in such a short period because I'm like, I like it, let's do it. Whereas now I'm currently working on December 2026, and that's as far as I have ever planned. So it is a little bit difficult because I'm like, is it going to be cool then? But I look to everything. Of course, your feed, I'm on social every day. My feed is saturated with other brands. My Pinterest is saturated, and sometimes you save an image and you might not realize like this is the coolest brand in, you know, it's vintage, it's Gucci or something, but there's no logo. And so it's hard because you like might be referencing something really popular without realizing. So I kind of course am influenced by that, but try and stay away from social and looking at other brands. And instead I look to vintage. I look to like architecture. When I'm traveling, I'll look at little shapes or take pictures and then think like, how can I inspire an earring from that? Kind of like close my eyes and design it. Also, I remember once I was driving, there was like a weird electric car or something in front of me. It was raining, it was dark, and if I kind of squinted, the shape of the tail lights looked like an earring. And so I'm like, there's some inspiration. So I really try and like keep that conversation open, that I can find inspiration anywhere, because I just don't want to look the same. And I think often if you look to other brands, you'll end up creating too close, and then there's like too much of the same product. And then I also like to look at runway. So I look to like all the old runways from like years ago or now, But I actually look at it really, really small on my screen. So instead of zooming in and seeing exactly what it is, I'll look at it really small, and then sometimes I interpret it different. So recently I saw a bangle and I was like, oh, that's so cool. It's a leather bangle. I want to do some of those. Then I zoomed in. It wasn't leather. It was just like silver. However, now I'm like, we're doing leather bangles. So I think you kind of like take some inspiration, but like leave it up to your own mind.
I love that. And I think that it's such a good way of like, maybe what you are seeing is like what you want to see.
Exactly.
Or like it's in there somewhere and it just has to come out in some way, shape, or form.
Exactly. And I think you have to trust yourself. Like it's so unbusinessy and a little cringe, but sometimes I just get it right and I just don't know why. And I want to do it because I think it's cool, or like, I don't know, for example, there's certain prints that like make my heart skip a beat, like leopard. We have so much leopard throughout the business in our laptop cases and book boxes because I'm like attracted to this so much. And so I'm like, if I resonate with this, like someone else will.
Who is your consumer today? Like, is it someone like you? Is it different than that? Like, how are you, engaging with these people and finding new and new shoppers?
Yeah. I think we're really, really lucky with our price point and our distribution that we're actually a really accessible brand. We have a ton of girls 18 to 24 who are like in college, have their first job and are saving up for that one pair and know every product name. But then we also have mums who are like 50, 60 years old, and then they might just get 5 pairs of earrings or they might buy for their daughters. So we do have that wide customer demographic, and we're really trying to create content. And I mean, I've never done this before, so I'm trying to find ways that make sense for the business to create content and reach every single customer demographic. You definitely can't be everything for everyone. So I'm trying to tailor this way where we can include everyone, yet not like oversaturate ourselves or like lose our identity. So I think as long as it's true to us, we still do that. And then I think we're just working to tailor different content. For example, we do a lot of stuff on our broadcast channel on Instagram. We use an app called TYB. We do a Zoom sessions, Conversation in Heaven. That's our younger demographic. So we do a lot of like face-to-face events and stuff with them. And then our older demographic, we segment them on emails and we'll provide them with like more styling advice or gift ideas, stuff like that.
I want to talk about TYB a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's Ty Haney, who founded that company. She's another under 30 outdoor voices. Like, I feel like the loyalty program and like gamifying shopping, which is like, a lot of what she has done with TYB, is like really kind of a new way that brands are engaging with consumers in a different kind of formats than they have before. How are you using the platform? Like, what does that mean for how you are met with consumers day to day?
So we use the platform to connect with our VIPs, nearest and dearest. We invite them to come onto the platform and then we give them perks. So Ty has done an incredible job with this platform, and it allows customers to get engaged with your brand more and like get benefits. So we'll do like comment on this post, or if you like and tag and comment, you get coins, and then you can put that towards a discount code on the website. So people are incentivized to like engage and be a proper part of your community. And then we'll do little like competitions, or we'll ask like, hey, what color did you like, or what resonated with you about this collection? Or my favorite question is, what can we do better? Because I often find if you say like, what did you think? You're not opening it up to constructive criticism. People feel a little guarded. So we always ask questions like that and then incentivize them with like a discount code, or we give them early access. I think next year we're planning some TYB only drops. So you can only get it if you're on TYB. But I actually have a podcast too, and I was talking to Ty, and she was saying back in the day at Outdoor Voices, they would do these community events and you would get a specific cap. I can't remember what it said, but she loves her Doing Things logo, and maybe it said Doing Things. And then she said, I would walk around New York and I would be on Brooklyn Bridge, West Side Highway, I'd see people wearing the Doing Things cap, but we don't sell those. They're just for our community. So you kind of look at each other and you're like, like you have one too. It's like a club, like an unspoken club. So that's what we're kind of trying to do as well with TYB is like do these small little products that you can only get if you're part of this, you can never purchase, so that people feel really like a part of something.
In terms of then like that feedback that you're mentioning there, how do you walk the line of getting that feedback and incorporating it, but not steering too far away from like you and your vision for the brand?
I think the feedback is so helpful, and we usually take all of it on board. But if I don't like it, I don't like it. So sometimes like it's funny, and you want to be a super open founder and listen to feedback, but if I hear something I don't like, I'm like, wrong, like that doesn't suit. But I think it's important to keep the identity of the brand. But for example, we just did a Conversations in Heaven. It's like about 40 to 60 people come. We do it once a month. It's a Zoom. They listen to me go through. I'll kind of present our recent drops, or like sneak peeks behind the scenes, and then I opened the floor to them. And someone was saying on our eyewear PD product pages online, we have try-on videos. She was like, I really want some try-on videos for the other products. And then 2 other people said, yeah, that would be really helpful. So of course I'm listening to that, because like that is just a helpful customer experience. But then they wanted some different colors in earrings. Of course I'm listening to that. But then they want some really dainty things. And I don't think dainty's our brand. So I said, like, you can go anywhere for that. So it's like a fine line, and you kind of just pick and choose. But ultimately I want to help the customer because they're the ones shopping.
Yeah, and knowing that brand and like realizing what you want to be like the next phase of Heaven Mayhem is obviously a huge part of like growth and evolving. You guys have evolved like in many different ways since you started with the pendants, as you're mentioning, moved into jewelry, belts, now eyewear. How have you gone about deciding what the right next like expansion or evolution is? When is it an idea that you're willing to pursue? When is it something that you're like, this is just getting too far away from like our core?
Yeah, I think it's funny because some of the stuff we have coming next year is so far away from an earring. It's so random, and I'm excited for it to be like so random that it almost stands on its own. But I think it's, for me, we want to be the go-to destination for accessories. Like, for example, your outfit, you could wear it every day of the week and you could dress it up with an accessory and it just like really change your look. And that go-to place for a gift. I think everyone would want a gift from Heaven Mayhem, any girl I know. So I want to become that go-to place for accessories. And then if I think about accessories, that is head to toe. So like your earrings, your eyewear, your necklace, your belt, your shoes, your bracelet, your watch. What about to store those accessories? So any storage accessory as well, that's where our book boxes come in. What about a bag? What about a laptop? You take your laptop everywhere. So that's why we did laptop covers. We also did laptop covers because everyone's in a cafe working, everyone's in an office working. We don't have our logo on our earrings. It was a great brand awareness play as well, which was the idea, and now it's one of our best sellers. So I think for me, as long as it hits the accessories realm, I'm good with it. And then, yeah, we'll see. I don't think we're going to go into, you know, people are like, do a lip liner because I'm such a lip liner girl, or like, do a perfume. I don't think we're going to do any of those under Heaven Mayhem or clothes, but it's definitely something we'd like test with fun collabs. Yeah,
let's talk about collabs a little bit too, because you have done a couple of different like partnerships, or, you know, I know for Fashion Week you also were on Christopher Esper's models.
Yeah.
How are you going about finding the right partners for those? And similarly, I talked to Tessa Barton recently in here, and we talked about your guys', you know, collaboration together with Heaven Mayhem and Tessa. How do you go about finding the right people to partner with? Like, when is it, you know, maybe too close to you and your brand versus like a new market to tap into? Because, you know, of course, that's the goal of partnerships, is to find more and more of these audiences. So what's the thought process like there for you?
I think we've done quite a few collabs for a young brand, and I want to continue doing more. And I think people always ask me this, and I think people think it has to like be this huge thing, but actually I look at collabs for like multiple different reasons. For example, some collabs I'm learning how their team works, and I'm getting information, not like secret information, but I'm just getting like, you know, they're a huge company and I'm learning things. So like that's helpful. Or it's the brand alignment, or it's a ton of sales, or, you know, different things. Or it's, for example, we're providing them with Cool Factor and cool young girls, and they're providing us with a really cool venue at no price or something. So I think it doesn't all have to meet every criteria. It just has to meet one or two for us to go for it. But I think right now we're trying to collab with brands who either are great brand alignment for us and really put us where we want to go, or are going to reach a totally new demographic. Either it's more mass or it's just a different demographic. When it comes to brands too close, we did a collab with Real Fine. They're a jewelry brand. And they're based in LA. It's kind of close because they have 2 Australian founders, so we really got on. We're like such good friends. People might be like, why would you collab with another jewelry brand? But it worked so well for both of us. They're such a higher price point. We're a lower price point. We were able to offer like a lab fine jewelry. And now 1 year later, we're looking at doing our own lab jewelry ourselves. But it was just such a great partnership. I loved it. And like everything was so aligned. We collabed with Freya. And again, that's something we wanted to test. We wanted to test bags. We want to go down and do bags eventually as well. It was such a great partnership. It was very aligned. Brand alignment was all there. Product was unreal. Everyone loved it. The press we got was amazing. The problem we kind of ran into is that our customer's the exact same girl. So that for us, it wasn't a huge sales play. It did really well, but without returning customer. So it was really, really interesting. Usually on every single drop, we get about 30% returning customers, 70% new customers. On this, we got 70% returning customers. And every single time I'm in New York, I will run into multiple girls carrying a Freya bag. I'm wearing a Heaven Mayhem pair of earrings. So it was But we kind of noticed that when we were walking around in May when the collection dropped, and we were like, damn, we should have probably thought of that. But like, great brand alignment, and we're so glad we did it. But it's just funny how we thought we'd tap into each other's audiences, but they're the same audience.
Yeah, I 100% understand that. Along with that, like, what are some of the other biggest learnings that you've had over the past, 3+ years now running this brand full time? Has there been anything that's like really surprised you about, I don't know, building a business or being a founder or building a team? Like, what have the challenges been? What have you had to overcome?
I'm going through a couple of challenges at the moment with like logistics and warehousing and stuff. I think everything was so fun. Well, it is so fun. And I think that's like the best part of my business is like I can have a serious conversation and laugh. Every day we laugh. Every day we do something really fun. And like I'm wearing a witch's hat in the office, or we're like eating cake, or we're doing something fun. But I think some challenges I've had to overcome is like, to me, it's been so fun this whole time that sometimes when I'm in like an actual serious conversation with actual contracts and actually real money and hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I'm like, oh shit, this is a business. And it sounds so stupid, especially.
The realization sets in, though.
It sets in, and I have so much fun, but I'm like, oh God, I need to like really take this one seriously. So I think that has been real for me the past couple of months, that I'm like, this isn't a fun girly pop hobby. This is a legit business, and I'm paying people's wages who are paying for their life, and we're growing and hitting these targets so that we can like grow as a brand, and we're being held to a lot of standards. So I think that's just a bit of a realization as well as we grow, that we need to like, people are watching and we have bigger contracts and things in place. But challenges I've overcome, it's so cliche, but I think you've just learned from everything. I mean, a recent example is we didn't have a certain piece of packaging in our eyewear, so we had 2,000 arrive to the warehouse, and we had to draw sticks in the office who was going to go. So we had one girl go, and she took her sister, and they had to sit in the warehouse for 3 days unpacking 2,000 and repacking it so it had the right thing. But that was just like a missed mistake that I was like, it'll be fine. I'm like, it's not fine. So I think just like being a little more cautious, but you're not going to learn if you don't make mistakes.
Yeah, definitely. I want to talk to you about the retail side of things, because you are D2C, as you've kind of been talking about here, interfacing directly with client or customers, but you also are in multiple retail stores. Moving from online and interfacing directly to having these like middleman customers as well changes the business a lot too, I assume. Why did you decide to go down the retail route? How has it changed or impacted the brand and who you're able to reach? Like, what has that looked like?
So our business right now is about 80% D2C, 20% wholesale. And I think the wholesale was a play to grow, but also a play to get new customers. So once we launched on Revolve, our D2C grew as well, because people are seeing it's like marketing. You see on the biggest website, you see the name Heaven Mayhem when you're shopping. Now you know that brand. So it's like a great marketing tool, but then also they place big orders and like help fund some of our business. So it's a great tool like that. But I think for us, it was like huge brand awareness, and we want the right partners. It's definitely not only a financial, otherwise I'd be everywhere and anywhere, but it's really to reach those customers who like to shop there. And I think that younger customer loves a quick shipping and all of that, whereas that older demographic, usually they have a store that they've been shopping at for years. For example, they might be a Bergdorf customer, or they might be Macy's or something, and they just a diehard there. So it's important to pop up in those kind of spaces. And then it also really like solidifies your brand. You're not just an Instagram brand that's online and like, is it real? No, it's like legit. It's in the best stores in the world. We did this huge pop-up with Selfridges, and that like fully changed the business in that we had so many different people looking at us. I had a ton of investors reach out. I just had a ton of different interesting people who now took us more seriously, and I think it just legitimized the brand by partnering with a store like that who has such great credibility. So I think it really is like all these benefits.
Do you advise other startup founders to go the retail route, or is it right for everybody? Does it have to be the right fit? Like, what would you advise up and comers right now?
I would do the retail route, but you need to be ready for it. It's a lot like you need to have the cash flow for it, business-wise. You need to have the inventory for it. You need to have like the brand presence for it. I think it's really amazing to get into these stores, and it's kind of like a win. And I love sales. Like, the thing about me is I love the creative side of the business, but I also love the business and I love the sales. So like, what am I going to do? Every job all day. But I love sales, and I think at the start it was like, oh my God, we're in this store. Yes. But it doesn't really matter if you're in it, you have to sell. So if you don't have that brand awareness yet and you're not ready to be in the store, it's not going to sell, so you'll be dropped off immediately. And I think that's even worse because like if you're in a Selfridges and now you're out, they're never going to have you back because you proved that you couldn't sell. So I think while it's a great like brand awareness play and growth tool, you really need to be ready for it. And I think we were, and like often when we're launching in these big retailers, we don't just like launch and like wipe our hands clean. We launch and then we work with them on some kind of small marketing, and then we go through the back door and we do our own marketing. So like we got a ton of influencers to go in and do videos. All we facilitated it, we gifted them, we paid them whatever. Selfridges had no idea. A lot of the retailers have no idea because we want the partnerships to be successful, and we don't just want to, it's not a quick sale for us, it's like a brand awareness play.
What time period in your growth journey did you have your first retail partnership?
A year in, I got Revolve.
Okay.
So I launched the brand in June and I launched on Revolve the following May. Okay. So a year in. And then from there, it just kind of snowballed. And it's so funny. Like, I have tried to get some retailers and then some have just come to us. And I remember I was in Ibiza. This was the time it was just me and one other person, and we were doing everything, everything, and she was filling all the orders while I was away. And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go through customer service, clear it out, have 100 emails. Ended up clearing all the junk, find an email from a month before from Essence and Bloomingdale's saying like, hey, we'd love to have the brand. And I'm like, oh my God, like, we are not ready for this because I can't even reply to your email. I can't even see your email until a month later. Like, this is kind of crazy. So I think we've had a lot of people come to us that now have been able to facilitate. Although I still haven't brought Essence to fruition, like 2 years later. So that's the other thing. It's like one email, someone's interested, but things take a long time.
Totally, yeah. And you cannot, to your point, move too fast. Otherwise, it's going to bite you in the long run.
Yeah.
You mentioned there, too, that people were interested in the brand, including investors. Have you guys raised any funding? Is that something you're interested in? Like, what? Because I know obviously when you were featured on the under 30 list, you were fully bootstrapped. So what has that journey looked like?
Fully bootstrapped, $900 to a, I almost said 10-figure business, I wish, to over a $10 million business. And no, we're not raising money. I don't want to, but I don't want to say no forever because I think once you get to that point, you might need a little money to grow because we'll just be growing at the same rate. But definitely I don't want to don't even think about raising until maybe end of next year and see how far we can push it and how far we can go. I think the cost of acquiring a customer is getting a lot more expensive. When we were smaller, it was cheaper, but also we had that organic growth because we were brand new. But now things have changed, so I'm not sure, maybe down the road we'd consider it. But I really would absolutely love to be a self-made, self-funded business.
Yeah. What does, especially knowing how much has changed over the past couple of years and how much will continue to change, what does growth look like for Heaven Mayhem in the next 12 to 24 months? What do you guys have your sights set on? What are you, knowing the industry, what are you preparing to be up against?
Yeah, I think it's funny because I see huge brands in the jewelry space, in the bag space, in the eyewear space, but I don't really see any big players that offer it all. So I think that is a struggle because I don't see a brand that we can almost go after and be like, I want to be the next X, because I don't know what that brand is. So I think we are trying to grow and be like that go-to place for all, which is fun because I don't know if it's really being done and we're tapping into something a bit different, but it's also a challenge because there's no playbook or anything to follow. So I think for us, it's growth by bringing in new categories, but also solidifying these verticals that we have. Eyewear should be huge. Watches should be huge. We have all these that often people just have that as a brand. Also expanding more into retail across the country. I think the US is huge, and with all of the new tariffs and everything, it is harder to kind of expand worldwide. So I think really focusing on our growth here and just doubling down on the brand. Our team is always stretched so thin. So I think I want to get to a point next year where we're planning the drops a year in advance. We've got everything all organized, a tight, buttoned up, well-oiled machine. I think that's really what we need, rather than chasing after growth targets while also chasing after growth targets. I think that's kind of my goal. So I launched the brand. The first 6 months was around 50K. The next year was 2.5 mil. The next year was 10 mil. So 2023 to 2024, I 5x'd it. 2024 to 2025, we'll see. But I mean, I'd like a 3x growth every year. I don't think that's going to happen realistic, but at least a 2x is what we kind of aim for.
You mentioned there tariffs. Where are your products all made today? Are you having to face a lot of that with more of this happening? How has that taken shape?
We are facing it. Our products are predominantly made in Asia.
Okay.
We do some products in LA. So we're just kind of thinking about ways that we can make more stuff in the US, make more packaging here. You know, for example, our belts, I've just recently working with a supplier in Italy, but I'm thinking maybe we'll just do the buckles in Italy, get those sent because that's going to be a lower cost to import, and then we'll just make the rest in the US. So trying to find ways to do that, and also then set up a warehouse in China for like the international distribution, set up a warehouse in Europe, in the UK. There's just, I mean, it's crazy because my husband has a brand and he was saying like he's focusing his growth in the UK. And I was like, well, babe, that's not really relevant, because once someone goes viral on TikTok and someone else sees it, it doesn't matter where you're growing, you can do anything. But actually it kind of does, because once people try and ship things, there's a tariff here, there's a tariff there, and you know, you see the price of something and then you have to pay double to get it to you. It's really difficult. So I guess we're just trying to combat all of that and keep the transparency with our customer open, because they know that it's not Heaven Mayhem charging this crazy duty or something, but you just need to be transparent. They're paying up front and whatever, and no one's hit with unexpected bills.
You mentioned at the beginning of this conversation that you want to get more involved with other businesses that are building right now. What's your vision for that? Like, do you want to invest more? Do you want to build more on your own? Like, where do you see yourself going? You know, now that you have done this kind of one time around and you're continuing to build and build, I'm sure you have so much knowledge that then you can pass down. So what are your plans for that?
So I'm already working on some other businesses for myself. I think I just love it. Like I said, I'm having so much fun. So why wouldn't I do it? It's a hobby, and then it turns into a job. With other brands, I've already invested in a couple. So it's just kind of like brands I already love and use. For example, this bone broth I'm obsessed with. I met with the founder. I'm like, I want to invest. And I don't really do much else than just financially invest in that. Like I connect with them sometimes, help on like do some socials. I invest in a collagen powder I'm obsessed with called Pa Olive. I do a lot. I help with like events. I co-host events. I help with influencer. And again, I just like pass that knowledge. It's kind of like I'm an investor, a shoulder to lean on, a friend, like a collaborator, an advisor, a mentor, all in one. And it's also really nice for these founders because they can kind of call me up and they know that I can offer them advice with experience. I can tap into my network, but I want nothing but the best. I think sometimes when you're building, you just want to talk to someone. And then if you ask a friend, you're like, oh, but you don't really get it. Or, but do you have my best intentions? You never know who you're talking to. So I think that's kind of why I love investing, and I like encourage them. And I also sometimes see it as like I'm like the angel / the devil on their shoulder. I'm like, where's this? Why haven't you done this? You know, it's like, it's nice to have someone kind of pushing you. So yeah, I'm looking to do more of that with just brands that I'm obsessed with. And I hope that cool brands will come to me. They already have. But then I also want to like put it out there to brands as well, just when I see something that feels right.
Yeah, so a little bit in the health and wellness space, I see.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy. And then I've also invested in ShopMy, which like has changed our business instrumentally. And I think that's a really fun one to like, I think it's an incredible business. So I'm excited for any returns I get on that. But it's also just really fun to have a peek behind the curtain and like see how amazing they're doing and like get the investor reports and stuff.
So my last question for you, we've talked a lot about obviously like the growth of your business and how that's changed and evolved over time. But for Pia, like where do you want to go in the future? What do you have, you know, your sights set on for your own personal interests or your own personal goals, or like how do you want your life to shape up within the next like, you know, couple of years?
My life's pretty great, I will say. Like I love my job, I love my husband, and like what's more to life? Yeah. I mean, I personally enjoy everything I'm doing. I love everyone I work with. I love my business. I love working and having these ideas and seeing them come to fruition. So I think I'm doing the exact thing that lights me up. I love traveling. I love all of this. I think I just want to do more of that, and I want to do it at a bigger scale, and I want to reduce some of that everyday stresses in my life. Like, for example, our business is really small. So if we have a small, tiny issue, for example, laptop case issue, I'll just quickly edit a photo. But I think I need to get out of that day to day, and that's kind of where I want my life to go, and making these more like executive decisions. But I kind of love the day to day too, so we'll see.
Sometimes it's hard to let go.
Yeah, it's hard to let go, and I don't want to be a control freak, but sometimes I'm like, this vision needs to be translated so clearly that you have to almost do it for the people to see it. So it's like a bit of push and pull with that. But I think ultimately I'm like loving my life, and I'd say the goalposts are forever moving, but I'm really happy with where I'm at and the trajectory. And I think I just want to like start more brands, invest in more, grow Heaven Mayhem, and keep having fun.
Well, I cannot wait to see what happens next. Thank you so much for taking the time today.
Thanks for having me. This was so fun.